Hello there, dear viewer. Today I have some very exciting films to talk about. These are all recent releases from A24. I have The Brutalist, I have Sing Sing, and also Babygirl. All three of these I'm going to be talking about in this video, letting you know my thoughts on the films and also the discs and the releases themselves. So let's get looking at these three films. And I'm going to start with Sing Sing. This film absolutely blew me away. This is one of the best films that I have seen in the longest time. And I'd heard good things about this, but I wasn't expecting it to hit me as hard as it did. The film follows this group of men who are incarcerated at the Sing Sing prison. And one of the things that they get to do there to show their own growth and rehabilitation is take part in this theatre group where they put on performances for the other prisoners and the people that work at the prison. And their participation in this theatre group is often used as evidence for them reforming when it comes to parole hearings and being released from prison. Now, this story is based on real life events. And in fact, a number of the actors in this film are previously incarcerated people. So they know this firsthand, and I think that really has helped inform the filmmaking here because it really does feel so authentic, so natural. And for all of that, I just thought it was so powerful. But at the centre of the film, you have Colman Domingo playing this excellent part of this guy who was put in prison for a crime that he didn't commit, and he's trying to provide evidence that he didn't do it, and he's using this theatre group as a means of expression, but like I said, also using it to perhaps help him on his path to freedom. And there is a central clashing between Colman Domingo's character and the character played by Clarence Macklin, who is one of those formerly incarcerated actors. And they are different personalities, and you know, when they come together, it really is explosive. And yet they are different people with different ideas, but they know that they really have to get along and work together in order to, you know, get on and achieve what they want in their lives. So a really fascinating story, very touching and beautifully directed. The acting is brilliant. It all feels so natural, like I said, authentic. And it's a beautiful looking film shot on 16mm film, using some vintage lenses to capture the essence of prison life. And I think it works excellently. Honestly, this is a 10 out of 10 film for me. One of the best things I've seen in the longest time. And on the A24 Blu-ray, there are some great features going into the approach to making this film, working with people that lived this experience. So great stuff. There's a commentary as well. I do wonder why this was a Blu-ray only and not selected for a 4K edition like the two other films here, because it was shot on film and it's a new film shot on film. So it should have lended itself to a 4K presentation. But again, I don't know exactly why. The Blu-ray looks excellent though. So very happy to have Sing Sing on the A24 Blu-ray in my collection. Next up we have The Brutalist. And there is a lot of film here. It's been noted for its long run time at, I think, 3.5 hours with an intermission. I'd heard many people say this is one of the great films about the American experience of the 20th century. And many comparisons have been made to the works of Paul Thomas Anderson, namely There Will Be Blood and The Master. And I definitely see both of those films in this film. Certainly must have been an inspiration to Brady Corbet when he was making this film. The story follows this Hungarian architect who comes to America after World War II in order to start a new life, but he comes alone. He doesn't come with his wife and his niece because he has to come first and then they are to follow later. So for the first chunk of this film, we see him separated from his family and himself trying to survive in America. Initially, he's living quite a meager life in Pennsylvania, but then he is discovered by this extremely wealthy industrialist, played by Guy Pearce, who then sets him on a path and utilizes him, perhaps uses him, abuses him, in order to create this new structure, this new settlement, this it's kind of hard to describe because it's this giant building which has like a church and a library and all these things inside one. And this is all to be done in the Brutalist style, using either concrete or marble in this very rigid, clean Brutalist look. It's a film that's described as an epic story, and I actually disagree with that. I don't think the story is epic at all, really. It's actually rather intimate because it's looking at these few central characters, namely these two men played by Adrian Brody and Guy Pearce, and the nature of power between them and how things shift. And there's some really extreme choices in this film, certainly things that I was not expecting. There's a particular scene when they go and try to source some marble and stuff that goes on there. I won't spoil anything, but yeah, there's a lot of strange choices which still, after seeing this only once, I'm not quite sure how those things sit with me. It's not that I'm not sure what they were trying to say. I actually think it was already implied, and some of these choices made it very overt and explicit. So yeah, interesting. The film certainly has excellent performances from basically everyone in here. Guy Pearce is excellent. Adrian Brody won the Oscar for this, and I think that is well deserved. Felicity Jones is also excellent as well. The film looks beautiful, shot on VistaVision, which is obviously a very unique choice in the 2020s to use VistaVision, but I think it really does aid the feel of this film, and VistaVision is of the period, so it looks excellent. So I think if you want to experience this film at home, definitely get the 4K Blu-ray. It looks brilliant. And as for me, the film, I think I need to revisit it because I hate saying this about long films, but I don't think it deserves the runtime. I don't think it is earned, at least on this initial viewing. And I'm sure people will call me a hypocrite because my favourite film is Barry Lyndon and Lawrence of Arabia is one of my other favourite films. So very long films are things that I do enjoy. I just hear, like I said, it doesn't feel like an epic story to me. This actually feels rather intimate, and it's about just this central relationship between these two men. Anyway, I'm babbling on here. It's a good film. It's definitely worth seeing, and I'm going to have to revisit it because I've seen a number of people say this is one of the best films they've seen in the longest time. So I'll revisit it at some point, not anytime soon though, purely because of that 3.5 hour runtime. If you get the A24 4K disc, there is a commentary with the director of photography, and there is a featurette about the architecture in the film. And then we come to Babygirl, starring Nicole Kidman as she plays this CEO of this company that develops robots for warehouses, like an Amazon shipping warehouse, where they pick products and drop them into boxes, etc. She's the CEO of one of those companies, and this is a high position of power. And this film is all about power, but sexual power and the dynamics between her and the men in her life. At first it's her husband, played by Antonio Banderas, but then she meets this young guy played by Harris Dickinson, who is an intern at her company, and this relationship starts to form here, one about domination and power and how she likes to be dominated, essentially. Perhaps it sounds like some kind of strange erotic exploitation film. The film is actually not all that erotic, to be honest. There are some sexual scenes in here, but there's nothing that is, absolutely going to blow your mind. It is more about this nature of power and the relationship between Nicole Kidman and Harris Dickinson's characters. And it's described on the back of A24's case as a comedic romance. And I watched this with my wife, and we were actually laughing a lot through it. And I wasn't sure if it was intentional for some of these scenes to be funny, but some of the stuff in here is just so outlandish. Like, you couldn't imagine that this is the way two people really would interact with one another, particularly when they don't know each other that well. Like, Harris Dickinson's character, he has balls, because some of the things he just says to her out of the blue, she's the CEO of the company that he's the intern at. He could very easily just get fired or even, sent to the police. So it's a film that I enjoyed. It made me laugh, even though I'm not sure I was meant to be laughing at all the things I was laughing at. The film is very aesthetically pleasing to look at though. And on the 4K here with the Dolby Vision, this is certainly the best way to see it in your own home. So if you're interested in this kind of film, and if what I've just said intrigues you, then I would recommend this to you. It's not one of my favourite films. It hasn't jumped into being, you know, a favourite at all. But I had a good time with it, and isn't that what you want when you watch a film? There are some great special features on here as well. There's a commentary with the writer and director, and there is a featurette on directing the film, as well as one about dressing the cast of Babygirl. So those are my thoughts on the new A24 Blu-ray and 4K editions of these three films. Definitely Sing Sing is my favourite of the bunch, but the other two are certainly interesting and well worth watching. If you've seen these films at all, please do let me know your thoughts on them. Do you have a particular fondness for any of these films, and have you watched these editions yet? If you have, please let me know in a comment below. If you want more reviews and recommendations from me, just click the video that is on screen right now. Until next time, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.